How do you play F? So the F chord is basically just an E chord that's been lifted up one fret because the F is a half step above the E on the scale. The way I was playing the F chord there was using a bar chord, so I was using the E chord shape in a bar chord on the first fret. There are other ways of playing the F chord, and I'll get to those later. And in fact, those are more useful in many applications. But just to explain where the notes are, I'm going to start with the bar chord. So with the bar chord, we have your index finger covering the first fret of all 6 strings. So on the 6th string, we're at the first fret. You use your ring finger to hold down the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and you use your pinky to hold down the 3rd fret of the 4th string, and then you use your middle finger to hold down the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then you're back to your index finger holding down the 1st fret on both the 2nd and the 1st strings. The notes of the F chord in order, starting with the 6th string, on the 1st fret we have an F, and then on the 5th string at the 3rd fret we have a C, so that's the 5th of the chord. And then on the 3rd fret of the 4th string we have another F, so we've got 1, 5, 1. And then on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string we've got an A, which is the 3rd of the chord, so we've got 1, 5, 1, 3. And then on the 2nd string and the 1st string, on the 2nd string we have another C, and on the 1st string we have another F. So it's 1, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. And notice that there's only 1, 3 in that chord setup, which is useful for playing variations like suspended seconds and suspended fourths, as we've seen before. Another reason for using the bar chord form of the F chord is that it has alternating bass built in. On the 6th string you've got the F, and on the 5th string you've got the C, so that's the 1 and the 5. So going back and forth between those two gives you your alternating bass. And then last reason for using the bar chord is if you're using bar chords elsewhere, you can be sliding around, or even for example going from a B flat to an F. You can do that by keeping your bar chord finger on the 1st fret. And the B flat, by the way, is the 4 in the F major scale, so that's just a 4-to-1 chord progression. Anyway, that's enough about the bar chord. Let's talk about the other way of playing the F chord. This is an easier way, actually, in many respects, but it doesn't use all the strings. So let's start with a 4-string version. You put your ring finger, 3rd fret of the 4th string, your middle finger, 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then you use your index finger on kind of a mini bar, just holding down the 2nd string and the 1st string on the 1st fret. And that gives you a complete F chord. You've got 1, 3, 5, 1, and with some repetition. So the nice thing about this version is that you can play things like you have a free finger, and you also have some open strings you can get to. So for example, going from an F suspended 4th, you get that by just putting your pinky down on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, and then lifting it up to go back to F, and then lifting up your middle finger to go down to the open fret, to the open string. That gives you the suspended 2nd. And another nice chord you can get to easily in this shape is the F major 7. You just take your index finger and lift it up so it's only holding down the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and you leave the 1st string open. And that gives you the F major 7. Now another variation on this chord, if you want to get 5 strings, you can do it this way. You hold down 2 strings at the 1st fret, the top 2 strings at the 1st fret with your index finger. Again, you have your your middle finger on the second fret of the third string, and then the fourth string, third fret, you've got your pinky on that, and you put your ring finger on the third fret of the fifth string. So that gives you a 5-string chord, which is an inversion. It's the second inversion because you've got the 5 in the bass. You can even do an alternating bass with this setup because you've got on the root of the chord on the first string, so you can alternate like this. So with that 5-string version of the F chord, you can also get a F major 7th once again just by lifting up your middle finger, or your index finger, and having it only hold down the first fret of the second string, leaving the first string open. And then lastly, you can even get a 6-string version of it. If you wrap your thumb around, you use that to hold down the first fret of the 6th string, then you've actually got a 6-string version of the F major 7 chord, which is actually quite nice sounding, I think. Anyway, continuing with the other chords and going back to that simple 4-string version, if we go from F to F major 7th, we need to drop down another half step to get to the F7. So you can do that by putting your pinky on the 4th fret of the 2nd string, and then with your index finger continue to hold down the 1st fret of the 1st string. So this is an F7. And then dropping your pinky down 1 fret to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. This gives you the F6. There's a 4-string version of the F minor chord as well, where you use your index finger to hold down the top, the 1st fret of the top 3 strings, strings 3, 2, and 1, and then use your ring finger to hold down the 3rd fret of the 4th string. So that is your F minor. There's also a bar chord version of the F minor where you use your pinky on the 3rd fret of the 4th string and use your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then you make your bar with your index finger. And that's a more full sounding F minor chord. That's just the E minor shape lifted up 1 fret. But once again, it's a little bit easier if you're doing sevenths and things like that to use the 4-string version. So starting with the 4-string version of the F minor chord, you put your pinky on the 4th fret of the of the 2nd string, and that gives you your F minor 7th. And then if you drop it down 1 fret to the 3rd fret of the 2nd string, that's your F minor 6th. So one additional chord I wanted to show you, starting with the F shape. If you lift, we have the root of the chord, the 1 note, again on the top string. If you lift that up 2 frets, that gives you a 9. So this chord is the F add 9. It's also kind of a nice sounding chord. Lastly, I wanted to show you where to find the F chord up the fretboard. So if you start on the 1st fret, we've got the root of the chord on the 1st string. If you add 2 whole steps or 4 frets, that takes you up to the 3rd of the chord. And once you've located the 3rd of the chord on the 1st string, you can make a bar chord in the C shape. And that's an F chord. And now you've got the 3rd of the chord on the 1st string. If you add 3 half steps, that takes you to the 5th. So this is the 5th of the chord, and that's on the 8th fret. So once you've located the 5th of the chord, you can make a bar chord in an A shape. And that's an F on the 8th fret. And then from here, If you go up 3 frets, that takes you from the 5th to the 7th, and then 1 whole step takes you to an octave. So on the 13th fret, if you can do it, you could make a bar chord in the shape of an E, and that would give you an F up there as well. Okay, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and leave any comments in the section below, and I'll see you around. Bye now.